What if I told you that one of the greatest footballers to ever live wasn't fast, wasn't strong, and barely even ran? That the man who controlled games like a maestro conducting an orchestra did it not with muscle, but with mind. In an era obsessed with pace and power, Andrea Pirlo was a paradox. He didn't sprint, he didn't tackle, he didn't roar, and yet, every time he stepped onto a pitch, the game slowed down to his tempo. The chaos bent around his rhythm. He was an artist trapped in an athlete's world, painting pictures on grass while others fought battles around him. And in doing so, he created a language of football that only a few could understand. This is the story of how a quiet Italian with velvet boots and the calm of a monk dominated world football, not through aggression, not through athleticism, but through intelligence, elegance, and timing. This is Andrea Pirlo, the man who proved that in football, you don't need to chase time when you can control it. Before the world saw the beard and the long hair under the Milan sun, there was just a shy boy from Flero, a small town in Brescia, northern Italy. Born in 1979, Andrea Pirlo grew up surrounded by family, football, and the quiet charm of provincial life. His father owned a steel company, but young Andrea had no interest in business. His currency was the ball. He spent hours alone, knocking it against walls, trying to perfect his touch, a touch that whispered instead of shouted. At Brescia Calcio, his talent was obvious. He saw passes before they existed. He made teammates look like they were reading his mind. But when he broke into the professional scene, many thought he wouldn't last. Too slow, too frail, too gentle. A midfielder without aggression in an era full of warriors. Inter Milan signed him young, hoping to turn him into a traditional attacking midfielder. But it didn't work. Too much chaos, too many bodies. Pirlo was suffocating between the lines. He was loaned out, forgotten, and for a moment it looked like he'd fade away. Another, what could have been, but destiny had other plans. In 2001, Carlo Ancelotti, now at AC Milan, looked at Pirlo differently. He didn't see weakness, he saw a conductor, misplaced among strikers. Ancelotti dropped him deeper, right in front of the defense, and it changed football forever. Pirlo found peace in that space. No frantic pressure, no constant tackling, just room to breathe, to think, to create. It was as if he'd finally found the silent room his mind had always been looking for. That single tactical shift transformed Pirlo's career and redefined what a playmaker could be. Instead of fighting through crowded spaces upfield, Pirlo now had the entire pitch in front of him. Time, space, and vision, his holy trinity. Alongside Gennaro Gattuso, the enforcer, and Clarence Seedorf, the artist, Pirlo became the brain of Milan's midfield. While Gattuso fought battles, Pirlo painted masterpieces. He played football like a composer, every touch a note, every pass a melody. His passes didn't just reach teammates, they reached moods. A clipped ball over the top wasn't just a pass, it was a message. Calm down, I've got this. Under Ancelotti, Milan became a machine built on rhythm, and Pirlo was its heartbeat. In 2003, Milan lifted the Champions League trophy, and Pirlo's fingerprints were on every movement. He didn't shout instructions, he guided them, almost telepathically. There's a moment from that final against Juventus that sums him up perfectly. As players sprinted and tackled around him, Pirlo stood still. He looked up once, saw three defenders charging, and with one feathery touch, chipped the ball into Shevchenko's path. 1 second of thought, 1 second of calm. Chaos turned into beauty. That was Pirlo. He made the game look effortless. But behind that serenity was calculation, memory, and vision. He once said, football was played with the head. The feet are just tools. And he lived that truth every minute. Over the next few years, Milan would rise and fall. The heartbreak of Istanbul in 2005 haunted him deeply. He missed his penalty, and it lingered. He later admitted that he thought about quitting football altogether after that night. I considered retiring, he wrote. I couldn't sleep. The images replayed endlessly, but like all great artists, he turned pain into poetry. 2 years later, in Athens, he orchestrated revenge. Milan had beat Liverpool 2-1, and Pirlo's free kick led to the opening goal. This time, his calm under pressure healed the scars from his stumble. By now, teammates didn't just look to him for passes. They looked to him for composure. When the crowd roared and the world shook, Pirlo was still. That stillness infected everyone around him. He wasn't just a midfielder anymore. He was Milan's compass, the metronome that set the rhythm of greatness. To understand how Pirlo dominated the game, you have to understand how he saw it. Most players look for open spaces. Pirlo created them. Where others panicked under pressure, Pirlo slowed the world down. He played in a dimension where time and space obeyed his touch. Watch him play and you'll notice that half-second glance before the ball arrives. The way his body shifts to deceive opponents without ever needing pace. Pirlo didn't run from pressure. He invited it because he knew when they came closer, passing lanes opened elsewhere. It's chess, not checkers. And Pirlo was several moves ahead. His passing wasn't about distance. It was about control. A 5-yard pass could break lines if it was perfectly weighted. A 40-yard diagonal wasn't risk. It was certainty. He didn't need stepovers or tricks. His trick was time itself. But perhaps his finest moment came in 2006, the World Cup in Germany. In the semi-final against the hosts, Germany were relentless. The match went to extra time. Fatigue, nerves, tension. And then, in the 119th minute, Pirlo received the ball inside the box, surrounded by defenders. Most would have shot or panicked. He didn't even flinch. He waited, paused, then threaded a pass so delicate, it felt like a whisper. Grosso ran onto it and curled it home. Germany stunned. Italy in the final. That pass, that moment of patience, summed up everything Pirlo was. In the final against France, he delivered again, assisted Materazzi's header, and calmly converted in the penalty shootout. Italy were world champions. Pirlo was named man of the match in the final. He didn't lift the trophy by overpowering anyone. He outfought them all. In that tournament, he was named in the FIFA World Cup All-Star team, not because he dominated physically, but because every attack started from his brain. He saw football like a film in slow motion, while everyone else was stuck in real time. Pirlo himself described it best. Before I receive the ball, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I've already seen the picture. He wasn't reacting to football. He was anticipating it, predicting it. That's why he made the impossible look effortless. And that's why, even as the game evolved into chaos and speed, Pirlo's calm felt timeless, as if the game was a storm, and he was the eye within it. By 2011, AC Milan thought Pirlo was finished. At 32, slower than ever, injury-prone, and seemingly past his prime, they let him go, for free. It was a mistake they'd regret for years. Juventus, desperate for revival, saw what Milan no longer did. Genius doesn't age, it matures. Under Antonio Conte, Pirlo became the architect of a new Juventus dynasty. He stood in front of the defense, weaving patterns with his boots, dictating every tempo, every transition. Juventus became an empire built on serenity. While others charged into tackles, Pirlo waited. One look, one flick, and suddenly Juventus were attacking. That debut season, he recorded 13 assists, the most in Serie A. Juventus went unbeaten. He was 33. Too slow? Maybe. Too old? Definitely not. For 4 consecutive seasons, Pirlo dominated Serie A without breaking a sweat. His free kicks became legend, curling, dipping, floating, as if gravity itself respected him. He once said, "When I take a free kick, I think only of putting the ball where the keeper can't reach it." Simple words, impossible execution. And then came the moment every fan remembers. Euro 2012, against England. A penalty shootout, pressure at its peak. Pirlo walks up, calm as a summer breeze. Joe Hart bounces on his line, shouting, trying to intimidate him. Pirlo doesn't blink. He chips the ball softly down the middle. A Panenka, cold, elegant, cruel.
Sì, meritava di vincerla prima, dove abbiamo giocato meglio di loro, avendo sempre il pallino del gioco. e quindi è stata lunga anche per noi portarla ai rigori e forse avremmo dovuto chiuderla prima.
The crowd gasps. England collapses. Pirlo walks away like it was nothing. That penalty wasn't arrogance. It was art. It was psychological warfare executed with a smile. In that moment, he redefined what confidence looked like. Not noise, not aggression, just mastery. Pirlo became the face of the regista, the deep-lying playmaker every team wanted. Around the world, managers searched for the next Pirlo, but there was none, because you can copy a system, but you can't copy calm. By the time he left Juventus in 2015, he had won 4 league titles, 2 Super Cups, and admiration across Europe. He left Italy for New York, but his legend had already crossed the ocean long before he did. Andrea Pirlo retired without fanfare. No farewell tour, no fireworks. Just as he lived, quietly, gracefully, slipping out of the game he had already changed forever. But his influence didn't fade. Every time you see Luka Modric control a game with effortless rhythm, that's Pirlo's DNA. Every time Kevin De Bruyne splits a defense with a no-look pass, that's Pirlo's vision echoing through time. Every young midfielder who believes that football is an art form, that you don't need muscles to dominate, they owe something to Andrea Pirlo. He didn't just play football, he redefined it. He showed that elegance can be a weapon, that silence can be powerful, that control is a form of domination. Pirlo didn't run faster than his opponents. He made them run for him. He didn't fight the game. He tamed it in a world that celebrates chaos. He was calm. In a sport obsessed with noise, he was silent. And yet, his silence was deafening. There's a reason people call him the architect, the maestro, the professor. Because Andrea Pirlo built his empire not on force, but on understanding. He once wrote in his autobiography, "I think, therefore I play." And that single line captures his essence. While others played football with emotion, Pirlo played it with philosophy. Every match was a meditation. Every pass, a sentence in a poem only he could write. His dominance was invisible to the untrained eye. No highlight reels of blistering sprints or crunching tackles. But for those who understood, he was everything. Pirlo's legacy isn't just in trophies. It's in the idea that football can be beautiful and brutal at the same time. That a slow man can make the world move to his rhythm. That the mind can conquer the body. Even after retiring, his influence spread to the touchline. As a manager, his calm demeanor and obsession with rhythm carried over. Not always successful, but always poetic. Because for Pirlo, football wasn't about winning at all costs. It was about expressing intelligence through simplicity.
Riportare un po' di entusiasmo a quello che magari è mancato nell'ultimo periodo. Il mio modo di giocare, voglio proporre un calcio propositivo, come hai detto tu, con grande padronanza del gioco, come ho detto ieri ai ragazzi velocemente. Ho detto 2 cose voglio dirvi: una, che bisogna sempre avere il pallone, e la seconda, che quando si perde bisogna recuperarlo velocemente. Quindi
And that's his greatest gift to the sport. Proof that there is still room in football for grace. That even in the modern age of machines and metrics, there's space for a poet with a ball at his feet. When Pirlo was on the pitch, you didn't watch a game, you watched a lesson. He was proof that genius doesn't shout, it whispers, and the whole world listens. So what if I told you that dominance doesn't always roar, that sometimes it stands still, head high, eyes calm, and dictates everything around it? Andrea Pirlo never needed speed. He never needed strength, because he possessed something rarer, the ability to think faster than anyone alive. He didn't just play football, he composed it. And while others chased the ball, Pirlo chased perfection and found it over and over again. He was weak, he was slow, but he was eternal. Because Andrea Pirlo didn't just dominate football, he redefined what it meant to do so. And as long as football values beauty, intelligence, and calm, the name Andrea Pirlo will never fade. You've just witnessed one story, but football is full of them. Explore our other documentaries and be part of a growing community that lives and breathes the game.